Hello, everyone. We are tuning in today for the In the Inbox session. This is where we review questions that are sent to us through any which means possible and get those answered for you. I have seen a lot of the same questions start to come through, so hopefully that these help answer the questions that you have there pending in your mind. If at any point you have a question that maybe we haven't answered over this series, feel free to reach out info@Luna Realty Belize, and we will get that answered for you over time. My name is Rachel Jensen. I'm the broker owner of Luna Realty Belize. Ambergris Caye has been my home for the last 11 years. I've been in real estate since starting here on the island over 10 years ago, and it's really been an exciting journey to watch the real estate market here grow and progress over time. So with that, we're going to jump right into the question. This is from Tamara P. And Tamara was asking, and really saying, this is my first time buying property in Belize and investment is my primary goal. Completely get that. I hear that quite a bit. I have invested in the US, but never outside of the country before. What do I need to know? And I love questions like this. I love when people take the time to really learn about the market that they're investing in, because a lot of times we tend to compare it to what it is that we know. And that's not a bad thing, but do understand that real estate here in Belize is different, especially when it comes to the rental market. Now, there's going to be a lot of the same tactics and thoughts that you have when you're looking at investment property, but do understand that there are some things that are different. So I added an extra slide into question number 6 here, because I think it is important to really see the information I'm about to share with you. And this is really important for you to consider when you're primarily looking at rental property here in Belize. The first one, first and foremost, is the property BTB certified for nightly rentals? BTB stands for the Belize Tourism Board. Is this property already certified for nightly rentals? So I'm going to explain something to you quickly, and do stay tuned here because this is important. When you're looking for a property that allows nightly rentals, you have to go through this process with the Belize Tourism Board. The Belize Tourism Board here will go and they'll authorize the property. It takes about 8 to 10 months to actually get a BTB approval if it doesn't have it already. That's if you want nightly rentals. If you want long-term rentals and you want to cater to the non-residents or to tourists, people are here on a month-to-month visa, then you will have to go through this BTB process. If you're looking to have a long-term rental property where perhaps you're catering to expats or residents or citizens here, you do not need to go through that BTB process. Now, if you're just planning to come and go as you please, and you're probably not looking at it from an investment perspective, but this is a really important one. And typically, if you're in a condo complex, it's under a strata title, and strata titles all are registered to one property manager. So if you're buying, I'm going to use an example for in the Best Western. The Best Western is going to require that you use their property manager that they have. There's one property manager for nightly rentals, and the entire Grand Bayman complex is that the Best Western complex is already certified for BTB. And as they add new buildings to the complex, then they are the ones who are going through and applying for the BTB license. If you're buying a single family home, it may or may not have the BTB license. And it is a little bit trickier to get the BTB license if you're starting out afresh because it takes time. That's why I say trickier. It just takes time. You need to have patience. It takes about 8 to 10 months, as I mentioned, to get that. So if you're buying a piece of property now, buying real estate right now, buying that single family home, note that you're not likely going to be able to enter it into the rental market tomorrow or, the day you close if you don't already have that BTB license associated with it. There are a lot of nuances to that, and feel free to reach out to your real estate agent to understand if that property that you're looking at is certified as BTB. Now, I know of a couple complexes here. One of them is Royal Palm. And I say here, I'm on Ambergris Caye. There's one here called Royal Palm, and another residences at Barrier Reef, where they are not BTB certified for nightly rentals. So you do tend to find a lot of long-term rentals for residents, or you tend to find the owners who come and go as they please. So bear that in mind. That's one of the first considerations. The next one there is, what are the property management fees and what does it cover? So if you are an investor in your home country, which I'm an investor in the States as well, you are probably used to 10-15% management fees when it comes to maybe a long-term rental. I know vacation rentals tend to be more. In Belize, it's standard for long-term rentals to be charged 15%. So you're paying 15% to the property manager for long-term rentals, and nightly rentals range anywhere from about 30 to 40% for the property manager. Now, I know you're probably like, whoa, that sounds like a lot, especially if you are compared to lower numbers in your home country, but understand that the property managers and rental managers here tend to do a lot more for you than they do in many countries. So For example, here there is an income tax 1.75% that's taken off the gross. These property managers will do that tax for you. In most cases, they'll take off that tax and pay it to the government for you. I don't know really of any property managers in the States who are paying your taxes for you. And there are a lot of considerations like that. The best thing that you can do is when you understand who the property management company is, if you're buying in a complex, make sure you understand what their fees are and what does it include. Are they sending you monthly reports? Are they sending you quarterly reports? How are they paying you? Are they paying you monthly? Are they paying you quarterly? How does that all look? But understanding what services they offer is going to be really, really important. The next one here is, what are my monthly expenses? So of course, this is an obvious one for investors, understanding what your expenses are, because you want to be able to see how it is you're going to be able to accomplish that higher ROI. Now, if you're in a condo complex, expect to have HOA fees or condo associations fees. That's normal. It's just general upkeep of the common areas, and each HOA is a little bit different. I did a session on that before, so you can tune into that YouTube if you want to learn more about HOA. But they'll typically be HOA property taxes. Property taxes are paid annually by April 1st. In addition to that, you will probably have insurance. Some HOAs include insurance, others don't, but you'll have an annual insurance amount that you need to pay. In addition to that, let's see, if you have a single family home, you will probably have to have a caretaker. It's one of my best recommendations, unless you're in a gated community. Single family homes, it really makes sense to have a caretaker here. There is a lot of upkeep when it comes to a rental property in Belize on the coast. We have humidity here. You need somebody, raking the yard, making it look clean. And that could cost you $500, $600, $700 a month. So these sort of considerations. Also, utilities. Right? If you're going to be renting out your property, understand here that electricity is the biggest expense for most people when it comes to their list of expenses. And electricity here is fairly expensive. It's more expensive than it is in the States. I can tell you that. So that's why you tend to find houses here are smaller. Like in North America, it just seems, and I'd say American, like houses are just mega size, right? Like you have a 3,500 square foot home for a family of 3 or 4. Here in Belize, we tend to live in smaller spaces because it does cost more to cool the air, and we are in a tropical climate, so we do like to have our cool air. So understand the square footage of your home, your space. How much do you estimate that monthly electricity bill is going to cost? And if the property already exists, then you can ask to see previous utility bills, ask about their water, right? When you go to the bridge, there's public water, but then in certain areas, and then when you go up north, there is no public water, right? So everybody has cistern or water catchment systems or reverse osmosis systems. They'll have a filtration, likely a UV filtration system. What does that cost look like as well? And that's something that the real estate agent would be able to get for you if you're looking at a property that's already existing. The fourth point on there for you to consider is there already rental history? And you can always ask to see the P&L. In some cases, the property management company does not provide the P&L. You'd have to go to the owner for that. And in cases the owner may or may not authorize the P&L to be sent. That's totally up to them. If they don't send it, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something off. It just means that they don't feel comfortable sharing that information or don't necessarily want it to be purchased with an investment perspective. And if there is rental history, that'll give you an idea of what numbers could look like. Now, do remember too, I'm doing this in March 2023. I was talking to somebody about this earlier this morning, is that COVID here in Belize, while we may not have had all the restrictions last year, until about June, July, when a lot of the countries stopped requiring that you get COVID tested, there was still an impact from COVID. There was still a lower number of tourists coming because there were still COVID restrictions in place. Maybe not here in Belize, but in order to go back to their home country. So yes, you can look at January through June, July for some sort of indication, but do understand that that's usually not the standard either. So bear that in mind. If the numbers were low for a particular month, ask to understand why, what happened. If you see a huge expense there for 1 month, ask to see what it was for. So doing that sort of homework and that sort of research is really important as well. And just to note, I know a lot of times people come down with this intention of being able to make 10, 14% return on investment net here. And hear me out here, the average net that people are making is about 4 to 6% return on investment. That's after their expenses are paid. The places that are doing well are netting about 4 to 6%. So that obviously doesn't include appreciation. We don't factor appreciation into the percentages here just because we don't have an MLS. So it's not necessarily a guaranteed or really truly understood percentage of what that number looks like. but do understand 4 to 6% net is good. I know people are always looking for higher than that. It's how we've been trained when we're looking at real estate. But, also understand too that if you're looking at the P&L and you see that it's 50% vacant for half the year, well, that means 50% of the year you can come down and enjoy it too, or let friends and family come and enjoy the property. So do bear that in mind. There is also that lifestyle element to it. And then also to add into that lifestyle element, if you're truly looking at this from an investment perspective, then do not plan to be down here when we have peak season. Peak season is Christmas, New Year's, spring break. Right now we're in March, April. We in last half of February, we got a ton of spring breakers who are coming down, families that are coming down. Easter is a very, very busy time here. Lobster Fest is also a very busy time. That's in July, the first 2 weeks of July. So don't come down during those peak seasons if return on investment is your prime goal here, right? Because a majority of your rental income is going to come middle of November through middle of May. Middle of November, middle of May. Now, maybe May, June, July, we've seen a little bit more occupancy at that time because kids are out of school, more families are coming, a lot of festivals that are happening here in the country. But just bear that in mind, and you need to be honest with yourself at the end of the day too, is what is the primary goal here? And then last but not least, the last consideration is what makes my property unique. This is a question that I always encourage people to think about. If you're looking at a property where there is 100 other condos or 100 other properties that are similar to yours, why is someone going to choose yours over the others? And, it's not always a bad thing when there's a lot of properties, right? I can, again, going back to the Best Western, going back to Elia, which is a Marriott property, they have 70 to 100 rooms in each of those complexes. It's not a bad thing though. They have the inventory, they have the occupancy, they have the brand names behind them to be bringing the occupancy and to be bringing the people in, where mom and pop type places may not have that ability to bring in that sort of rental number. So not a bad thing, but you just want to make sure that there is a strong rental management company. Brands are always a great option too, if you are looking to have that strong rental management company behind you. Not saying that branded hotels have higher occupancy by any means, but do know that there is more of that stability there when it comes to your investment. So what makes it unique? What makes it different? Why would somebody choose this? And think about it from your own perspective too. If you're going on vacation with your family or friends, what would you be looking for? And what you may like may not be what everyone else likes either, right? But at the end of the day, it really depends on who you want to cater to. So a lot of considerations there for you to bear in mind. I do encourage you to rewind this, repeat it, listen to it again. If you need clarification on anything, feel free to reach out to me. Email address is there, info@Luna Realty Belize, info@Luna Realty Belize. And if you have not yet purchased real estate here in the country, I do recommend that you reach out for this complimentary resource, 12 must-know facts before you buy real estate in Belize. It's a guide that I put together over the last, say, 10, 11 years of purchasing real estate here in Belize personally. I didn't really have that person to guide me through it. And so, of course, there were mistakes that were made and questions that I wish I asked that I didn't ask. And I have bundled those up into these quick 12 facts for you. Do reach out. Would love to hear from you if you have a question that you want us to answer for you. You have the email address there. Thank you, everyone. Hope to see you in Belize soon. Bye-bye.